Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our regular council meeting of February 20th. I'd like to start off with the Lord's Prayer. Anybody wishes to join me may do so, and please remain seated for it. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Power and glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thank you. Dean, call the order, please.
Mover and a seconder, please.
Keith and Wendy.
Moved by Reeve Watt, and seconded by Councillor Hewitt, that the regular council meeting of February 20th, 2024 be called to order at 5:30.
All in favor? Carried. Roll call.
Mayor Bennett.
Present.
Reeve Watt.
Present.
Councillor Keel.
Present.
Councillor Hewitt.
Present.
Councillor Hughley. Councillor King.
Present.
Councillor Wren.
Present.
All members present except for Councillor Hughley.
Yep. Confirmation of the agenda. Alan and Jennifer.
Moved by Councillor Wren, seconded by Councillor Gauthier, that the agenda of the regular council meeting of February 20th, 2024 be approved as presented.
All in favor? Carried. Any declaration of peculiar interest? Minutes and notes. Motion for the January 23rd meeting. Keith and Betty.
Moved by Reeve Watt, seconded by Councillor King, that the minutes of the regular council meeting held January 23, 2024 be approved as presented.
All in favor? Carried. Motion February 6th. Alan and Jennifer.
Moved by Councillor Wren, seconded by Councillor Gauthier, that the minutes of the council and committee meeting held February 6, 2024 be accepted by council, and that the resolutions from that committee become resolutions of council.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Delegations. Megan Conway. Welcome, Megan.
Hi there. Thank you so much for allowing me to come this evening. I'm here on behalf of the Friends of the Upper Ottawa Valley Community Pool Group. And we're a newly formed group that has recently come together to advance community mobilization and fund development in support of our local pool. So this is a group of approximately 30 residents from surrounding municipalities, including the City of Pembroke, the Township of Laurentian Valley, the Township of surrounding communities like Whitewater and Bonnechere Valley. And I'm here tonight just to share a little bit about what our group has been up to and to hopefully have some informal conversation with council to speak to the value and the benefit of our local community pool. So I currently am a mother of 2 small children, and I live and I work in Pembroke. And I personally have benefited because of the pool throughout my entire life. I want to just share that the pool, in my opinion, access to recreation and access to a pool is a social determinant of health, and that because we live so close to the Ottawa River and many surrounding community bodies, I know that many of you around this table see the importance and the value in having access to recreation. And access to swimming safety is a life skill, not only for small children, but also for adults. And it ensures that we have solid water safety skills and also leadership skills that help in all sorts of aspects in our community. In terms of our group, we're well mobilized and we're strongly committed to supporting community fundraising in a variety of different ways. We're currently in the process of finalizing an agreement with the Pembroke and Petawawa Community Foundation, which would act as a third party that would help to support any short-term repairs to the pool, as well as a long-term plan and vision for the broader community to enable a longer-term plan in terms of an aquatic center that might not be built today or within the next 5 to 7 years, but is certainly something I would hope to see within the next 10 years. So in terms of some of our thinking, we're looking at a variety of different community fundraising efforts, including things like provincial fundraising like 50-50 Draw and or Catch the Ace, as well as also sponsorship from local businesses that might be able to also receive some marketing and promotion by helping to support some of the repairs short term. So I think above all, I wanted to come and introduce myself and say hello and say that I hope that the Township of Laurentian Valley will consider the request from the City of Pembroke to think about the short-term repairs, and also to know that there are lots of active and mobilized community representatives, many of whom are here tonight, to talk about the benefit and the value of repairing the pool in the short term, along with looking at a long-term vision and plan for the pool. So I'm happy to answer any questions or have any conversation around how we might work collaboratively together to benefit the broader overall community. I don't have a formal presentation, but happy to chat.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Megan. Thanks for coming out. And certainly, our council is very interested in the pool, keeping it open. It's been a figure for the whole area to be used, and to see it shut down would be very frustrating, and it would be a big loss.
Yeah, and I know that this council and this community really values access to recreation. I see that through all sorts of activities that the Township of Laurentian Valley promotes and puts on, like this past weekend at the skating trail. I was really pleased to see accessible recreation is so important as a value to our community. So happy to answer any further questions, but I think we're a mobilized group of community residents who are really committed to helping partner to advance the repairs as well as a long-term vision for the pool.
Okay, I'll open up the council, and then I have a few questions. Keith, and then Alan.
First off, I applaud you for taking this on. I think it's well overdue, and I like this part especially that may not just end for the first initial part, but maybe look towards the future. And
yeah, I'm hopeful that there's an opportunity for a really collaborative vision for a long-term aquatic center and recreation facility that will benefit the broader community. I worry about the fact that there was going to be a shutdown to the pool and potentially nothing built for the next 7 to 10 years, where we would lose a generation of lifeguards and others in our community who have that expertise.
thank you.
Alan?
So I guess my question is, and in order for any fundraising to be successful, most people are looking for that income tax receipt. So have you looked into that on how you're going to be able to issue those receipts?
Absolutely. I think that's the benefit of partnering with the Pembroke and Petawawa Community Foundation. So we're in the process of finalizing an agreement with them. We don't have it signed today, but we anticipate having it signed by early March, and they will be able to provide tax receipts and have a well-established mechanism in community to be able to do that. I don't think we will, like, our community group, I think, is small, capable, and committed, and I think we're really hopeful that other municipalities like the Township of Laurentian Valley will also be considering the proposal that's been put forward from the City of Pembroke to think about how we can collectively and collaboratively address the problem that we're facing. But yes, we definitely have that worked out through the Community Foundation, who I think is a great third party in this endeavor. And they'll also establish a contingency plan, which I think is really critical. I think people's time and resources and their financial commitments are really important, and we want to make sure that everything is done in a legitimate and above board way. So yeah.
Okay, so Megan, there's certainly in the last, well, I guess I've been on the board, our joint recreational board with the city for the last couple of years, with the city trying to come up with the idea of building their own pool with financial support from us, provincial and federally. That's not going to happen, just the two of us. I think finally the realization has come to that. I know through hearing notes from the city, hearing about yourselves coming together as a fundraiser is huge and very important to the community. There's a couple of things that, and you're welcome to stay, because we are going to discuss our contribution to the pool tonight. But we want to, certainly not telling you how to do it or how to go about raising your funds, but I hope it's clear that your first project in fundraising is towards the rentals being done.
That's 100% the priority.
Okay.
Our group has just recently mobilized in late January, and we've set the #1 priority to be the repair of the pool. And based on all the estimates that I've understood have been acquired from council and others, there is a solid plan that's being put together that would look at a number of repairs that would extend the lifespan of the current pool for up to the 25 years, from what I understand. And I think all of those need to be vetted by third-party engineers and or planners and or other experts who have that knowledge base. But I think that's the first and primary objective. I think as we move forward and look at a longer-term vision, that's objective #2 that I think can only get tackled after we reach goal #1.
Right, and I think we all believe the aquatic center, through most of the county, whoever wants to be involved, that's certainly a way to go next. What we're looking at is giving a percentage of our dollars. As you know, we have an agreement with the city on recreation at 30% with a 59,000 cap right now. So we are in the 25 to 30% mark we're looking at, but it's going to be based on the 1.4, and I understand the tender's gone out, and we'll have to wait and see what that number comes in at, but also to the fact it would be net of any grants or fundraising. So we as a municipality are gonna move forward that way into an agreement with the city. But we kinda, the idea is to raise the money to the rentals now, and then it stops, and then you start going down the road.
Exactly,
It's
yeah.
not for other extra money to be put into the city to use for other upgrades or improvements needed, because we're basing it on that 1.4, what your money has raised, and if there's any provincial, federal grant, Trillium, et cetera. So what we need from your group, and obviously we're not going to get it tonight, but will you be, with the talks you've had so far, is there a deadline of your first fundraising goal towards the reno? Is it December 31st? Is there a date in mind?
So my understanding is that there's quite a lot of urgency around understanding where these contributions and commitments are going to come from. I think that we are internally talking about a July the 1st deadline for our committee to be meeting a significant fundraising goal. I think we want to make sure we do our homework and that we don't overcommit and underdeliver. That's the first rule of politics. I think you don't want to be doing that ever. So we want to make sure we do our homework and that we have a planned approach to this. We're in the process of doing that in partnership with the Community Foundation, and I think that by the 1st of March, we're going to know a little bit more about what the viability is of our fundraising efforts and how we're going to generate those funds quickly for a July the 1st deadline so that the repairs can move forward in a timely fashion and that there's a clear commitment from community. I would say that in an agreement like this, we want to make sure that everyone is being transparent, communicative, and good partners, I think, in that process. So having good communication, having a clear memorandum of understanding, I think, about where the monies are going to come from would be critical to the success of an endeavor like this one. I would also say that I think if municipalities are they've got lots of competing interests on the table right now. Dollars are tight for every family. I think we want to think much more collaboratively and creatively around how we raise monies. Maybe not from individuals in a big, donation kind of a way, but thinking creatively around things like grants. Sponsorship, I think, is a real opportunity. The Community Foundation itself, I think, has access to resources that we want to tap in different ways. And so I think we want to be really careful about how we ask or solicit for any funds as we move forward and do it in a planful way that's fair and also equitable for the whole community.
So you're talking about raising whatever funds you can in a 4-month period?
In a 4 to 6 month time period, I think we want to be really quick and agile and doing it so that there is a contribution made so that the repairs can move forward in a timely fashion. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions of council? Wendy, please.
Not really a question, just more of a comment. I'm really happy to hear that you're going through the Community Foundation. It is a foundation that I was a part of for several years, and I do believe in it. And they do have a charitable status, so for that reason too, it's good. And they're an amazing group of people, and I love what you're doing. So.
Yeah, I think they're a strong asset in the community who's interested in helping to mobilize around this shared purpose, and I think they bring a lot of credibility, knowledge, and know-how to the conversation that we as a group of community citizens may not have that same level of expertise. So I'm excited to work with them, yeah.
And I'm also happy to hear that it's going just for the rental piece to get it up and moving again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
With your discussions with the city, because we haven't heard, is there, they've got tenders out right now for the reno?
That's my understanding, is that there are tenders out currently for the renovation and that those tenders are going to be received shortly. And I think the intention is that there will be a formal agreement that hopefully gets struck that kind of finalizes next steps and a time frame and the repairs kind of implemented in a quick fashion such that there is access to the pool sooner rather than later, is my understanding.
Okay. Well, certainly, good luck with it. Please keep us informed so we can put onto our Facebook on the Laurentian Valley site as well to once it's up and running as far as fundraising dollars can be given.
Yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity and on behalf of the other members of the committee to come tonight and have this conversation. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to reports. CAO's report. Anyone add, Dean, or questions for Dean?
No, I'm good.
Treasurer's report. Planner's report. And my report as well. Or, I'm sorry. I missed that one. Public Works, too. Betty.
Just wondering, on part of the report there was a conversation with Rockwood regarding the traffic out front. Yourself and Mark attended. what happened or what transpired with that?
So it really was a follow-up of a discussion we started a few years ago. There were some staff changes at the school, and I think the initial conversations we had were sort of lost when some of the staff left. So we just sort of restarted that conversation again with what our plan was a few years ago. The school was on board, so our next step is to reach out to the county on sort of a third partnership for some road safety improvement and signage. So it was just kind of that initial conversation again to kind of revisit what we had talked about a few years ago. So there'll be something coming through to council probably next month, sort of on our next steps and approach.
Thanks, Mark. Keith?
If I may add one other thing to that, I had a second look at those signs, and the community safety zone itself is very small, and its location is partially blocked by the school zone sign as well. So I don't know whether you attended to that in your discussions or not, but I just thought I'd mention it again.
Okay, anything else? Dean, you have a motion?
I do. Mover and seconder, please.
Betty and Jennifer?
Moved by Councillor King, second by Councillor Gauthier, that the council receive the following reports for mid-January to mid-February 2024 at the regular council meeting of February 20th, 2024. CAO's report, Treasurer's report, Public Works Manager's report, Planner CMC report, and the Mayor's report.
All in favor? Carried. I just want to maybe note one thing that I could have done earlier, but in my notes it does talk that we attended the Roma conference and we had the opportunity to meet with MTO regarding Pembroke Street East, Drive-In Road to the Quebec turnoff, and just again noting that how frustrated and how long this project has taken to get to fruition, and staff did a great job putting a report together, which they were very interested in at the meeting we had with us asking for confirmation that at the latest it starts in spring 2025. We understand it's now going to be a 3-year project, and we're still working towards something being done at the Quebec turnoff. It was certainly, and I want to mention as well that having RMPP John Yakubuski there certainly carried some weight in the meeting, and they obviously stood straight up in their seats when John walked in, so he's very well respected, and it was a good meeting, but we did leave them with a list of questions and comments, and we're still waiting to hear back, and I'm sure we'll hear back probably in March.
Sure. Yeah, I would assume so.
Okay. I don't know if Alan or Dean want to add anything to that, or?
No, the only thing I would add is they did kind of confirm that temporary lights will be going in at Drive-In Road sooner than later. They did say the spring of this year, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but apparently this year they're going to be in there at some point.
Which is very important. Okay, we'll move on to Laurie, please. Public meeting. Dean, we got a motion to open up the public
We
meeting?
do, yes.
Betty and Wendy?
Moved by Councillor King, second by Councillor Hewitt, that the Council of the Township of Laurentian Valley pursuant to sections 17, 21, 22, 34, and 36 of the Planning Act hereby declare a public meeting open at 5:50 p.m. to discuss an application for zoning bylaw amendment, OPA file number 19, file number 0-2023-01, and zoning bylaw file number Z2314, Greenwood Quarry, French Hill, Traxton Holdings.
All in favor? Carried. Laurie, I'll turn it over to you, please.
Okay, yes, so we have applications before us tonight, official plan and corresponding zoning bylaw amendment related to files O-2023-01, official plan amendment number 19, and Z-2023-14. So the notices were sent out in two parts. There was an original notice of application that was sent out, and followed by the more recent notice of public meeting. So the notice for public meeting, again, were all issued in accordance with the Planning Act, and there was a number of different sections that this is in accordance with, because it's both official plan and zoning bylaw amendment. So it's sections 17, 21, 22, 34, and 36 of the Planning Act. And again, the purpose and effect of these amendments are to redesignate lands to permit the use of the lands for a quarry and associated uses, A concurrent application for license under the Aggregate Resources Act, ARA, has also been filed with the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry, and a separate public consultation process has already been initiated per those requirements of the province under the ARA. The effect of this amendment to redesignate is from rural to mineral aggregate resource, so that's the official plan amendment. With the concurrent application for zoning bylaw amendment Z 2020-314, the purpose of that amendment was to rezone lands to also permit the use for a quarry and also to include associated uses, including the reblending of recycled asphalt and other materials. So the effect of the amendment would be to rezone from rural to extractive industrial 7 holding and to establish those exception provisions to permit those additional accessory uses, with the principle of development being established by the rezoning, but a holding zone would also be brought into place until the official plan amendment is finalized, as that needs to be adopted by council and then the county first, and then the zoning bylaw amendment would be able to come into effect. The holding symbol is also to remain in place so that we're confirmed that approvals from MNRF related to the application for license are finalized, and also that an agreement is entered into with the township for the extension of Dix Road and any additional items identified by council resolution as a condition for removal of the holding zone are met. So the lands that are affected by this amendment are located within Part Lot 12, Concession 3 in the geographic township of Stafford. And the lands are currently on an unopened portion of the township road allowance that connects to Dix Road, and access to the property is proposed to be through an extension of Dix Road. Again, copies of the proposed amendment and materials required under the Planning Act are all available for inspection at the township office, and can be also provided through other means upon request. Again, the supporting documentation includes a wide range of studies, as well as the Aggregate Resources Act site plans, which were filed in support of the application. Any person, again, is able to participate in this public meeting and make written or verbal representation either in support of or opposition to the proposed amendments. Again, the need is there to either provide comments in writing or verbally in order to preserve abilities to appeal any of the decisions to the Ontario Land Tribunal. And again, if a person does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or written submissions prior to a decision being made, then they may not be able to appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal. And again, anybody wishing to be notified of further decisions of council and or the county on these applications does also need to provide a request in writing for further notice. And as part of this process is a public process, anybody providing comments is also providing their consent for those comments and their name and communications to be part of the public record, and also to be shared with those deemed appropriate for disclosing the information to as part of the planning process. And the notices were issued on the 31st day of January, and the site has been posted according to the Planning Act as well. So just one development through the consultation process as well is that it did come to light that there is an additional exception related to landscape strip requirement, that there will be an addendum to the zoning part of the application coming forward. That it is addressed in the report to council, that additional reduction in that section of the zoning. As far as written comments, we did receive some written comments from Mr. Ray Cleish, who's also here tonight, and related to the review of the documents that were provided. The other written comments that we did receive were from MHBC on behalf of Trans-Canada Pipeline. And again, their comments are reinforcing a lot of the setbacks and information that is already included in our comprehensive zoning bylaw. And then it also includes some additional construction activity and other notations which would be have to be confirmed by the applicant's consultant that they've been included with the site plan, and it also would be addressed through the licensing process, as the process when there's a license under the Aggregate Resource Act does default to the province for the site plans, and the township does not enter into site plans for for quarries or for pits, that's the role of the province. Where we do come into play for the agreements are related to the road-related works, and that's where the development agreement for the road extension would come under the township's purview. So again, we do have Mr. Ray Cleish here as well tonight, and also we do have Mr. Ken Plummer representing the applicants, and also just for Mayor Bennett's purpose, we do also have, I believe, two online. So once we move through the public comment part of it, that we can turn to the online as well before we complete the process.
Okay. Questions of council? Al, then Keith.
So Lori, is there any requirement for doing any baseline studies on wells or property for the blasting that's going to happen?
So there is some information that is included within the hydrogeological assessments and also within the blasting reports that are reviewed and approved by the province as well. We haven't had any additional baseline requests come forward as with other quarries, I think partly because of the proximity and location of the closest dwellings to this is a bit more isolated location.
And then my other question would be on Dix Road. So are we able to request the developer to put calcium chloride on that road on a certain regular basis? Can we set a certain speed limit on that road? Is that all part of what we're allowed to do, or is it only on the new part of the road that they're going to construct?
So certainly there has been, as part of this process, there is a traffic impact study that has been reviewed by our public works manager, and we do have some additional comments and requests related to that. So certainly the holding symbol won't be removed until we're satisfied that all of those requirements are met. And I can, Mark, our public works manager is present as well, that he may be able to better respond to the level of standard.
Sure. So going through the report that their consultant presented, their option for the road is actually to pave the entire road. So there's more of a rehabilitation on the paved section, and the gravel section they're going to do substantial brace repairs, and then there's 3 lifts of asphalt going on the entire road. So we still have some alignment issues that we're working with their consultant on. And the recommendation in the report is to reduce the speed limit to 60 kilometers an hour, and that's something that I agree with. It's the same as Stafford Third Line and Lubitz Road, other ones where we've had some recent pits and quarries and we've reduced the speed. So that is the recommendation that will come forward later.
Thank you.
Keith?
Thank you. Laurie, I read through the report, and I know you mentioned a couple of times now through Dix Road, the access, and it's going to come up towards Stafford Third Line. Can you confirm that the rest of that road allowance to Stafford Third Line is not going to be opened?
Yeah, the proposal is just that the Dix Road will be extended to the entrance of this quarry, so it would not affect the unopened road allowance going towards Stafford Third Line. That is not part of the proposal.
Okay, no, it's just that that section is handy to Stafford Third, and we already have one quarry exiting down through Stafford Third to Whitewater Road.
Yeah, well, and I guess the other element there is when you would travel from the property towards Stafford Third Line, you would also have to cross over the Trans-Canada pipeline. So that is another element that is there. So yeah, all of the site plans that have been provided with the license, as well as the transportation impact study, have all directed that it would be an extension of Dix Road, just going towards Highway 41.
Thank you.
So Laurie, generally, questions are asked about traffic, time of year, how many trucks, time of day, that all comes in the site plan later on, that information?
So in our review of the traffic impact study, we did also, ask for some additional clarification on not just the average peak traffic, but what the kind of the peak maximum may be expected in terms of the truck movements. So as part of that, we are working with the consultants. So we provide them provided them with the additional questions, so we're just waiting for them to provide back addendum report. And as I say, as we move forward through this process, it may be a staged process where, there may be a recommendation related to the official plan amendment, which is more broadly the designation of the lands for mineral aggregate resource. And then the finer details may be part of that process to remove the holding symbol and/or be brought in related to the zoning bylaw amendment. That may be a little bit of a slower stage of the process, but with how it does work, we are the approval authority when it comes to a zoning bylaw amendment. But when it comes to the official plan amendment, we do also have to then send that off to the county for their approval, so the timing may then all somewhat dovetail together.
Okay, so council will see this again. Alan, go ahead.
Yes.
How does this compare in volume to the H&H one that's on Stafford Third Line? Is it about the similar, bigger?
So in terms of the category of license, it would be the same. Now, as far as the maximum annual tonnage, I would have to reaffirm and get back to council on that, because I do apologize. I don't have the H&H numbers in my head, and we were dealing with requests there for a different number, so I apologize. I'm maybe remembering the other number, but I will confirm that back for council.
Yeah, it might be just good to compare the size of the two of them.
Absolutely.
Any other questions to council? Seeing none, do we want to go with the folks online first, or maybe we'll take questions from the crowd first? Anybody wishes to speak, just state your name and your address. Okay, we'll leave that for now. We'll go to the people online. Laurie?
Yes, so if anybody who is online wishes to provide any comments or has a question to be included in our reports, if they could please, either if they're on the telephone within Zoom, hit *9, or otherwise if they're on Zoom on a computer, if they can please click the symbol that raises a hand, and then we'll know to unmute you. Our deputy clerk is indicating that there is now a hand raised.
Okay, please go ahead, state your name. Oh, it's Dale.
Good evening. I'm Councillor Dale Ben-Mazor from the Algonquins of Pikwakanagan. And I seen this come up on your agenda, and I had a few questions. One of them being, is this on private or is this on Crown land? And the second being, has the Algonquins of Pikwakanagan been consulted on this project?
Laurie, go ahead.
So I can confirm that the proposal is on private property. So Traxton Holdings Limited is the owner of the property that has brought forward the application. As with regard to consultation, so through the Aggregate Resources Act process, which is the process that was commenced first, the consultants have advised that there has been some consultation that has been undertaken, and then further to our notices being sent out, providing the information to Pikwakanagan related to the applications that are before us tonight. I did have a call, and we did have some discussions about what documents were available and about what the proposal was about. And I understand from that there has been some connections made as well directly to the applicant's consultants. I have not received written comments, so I'm not sure if there's any specific concerns or questions.
Yes, there'll be questions forthcoming from that department. I just want to also acknowledge the council that I missed your land acknowledgement tonight. I don't know if you did it. I was a minute or so getting on, but and I encourage us to sit and talk and form this relationship on all projects in Laurentian Valley. This is one of our steps of reaching out and forming a partnership, and we all have to live in this county together, and this council is being a little more, I guess, inviting to come to the table and talk about projects taking place in Renfrew County and especially Laurentian Valley that could possibly infringe on our consultation process.
Go ahead, Laura.
Yes, and I can just speak to, we are looking forward to tomorrow. There will be a meeting with other planners and representation from the AOPN as well, just in terms of how best to move forward with consultation on applications.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry?
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your comments. Look forward to working with you. And Laura, we have someone else online as well? Okay.
No,
No?
no, they're not.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess just to confirm for those online, we aren't seeing a hand raise for the other individual. If there is a comment that they want to bring forward, we just need you at this time to raise your hand with the symbol through Zoom, and otherwise we'll assume you don't have any verbal comments at this time. Okay, thank you. We'll assume no more verbal comments.
Alrighty.
We do have a
So
motion.
do we have a motion?
Yes, we do,
Yeah.
yeah.
Jennifer and Keith?
Moved by Councillor Gauthier, second by Reeve Watt, that the council receives application for zoning, application for official plan amendment OPA number 19, file number 2020-01, and zoning bylaw amendment file number Z 2023-14, Greenwood Paving, Corey French Hill, Traxton Holdings, at the February 20th, 2024 council meeting, and direct the township planner to provide a report to Planning and Emergency Services Committee to address any comments received as a result of public meeting and bring forward a recommendation.
All in favor? Carried. Motion to adjourn. Alan and Betty.
Moved by Councillor Wren, second by Councillor King, that the Council of Township of Laurentian Valley hereby declare public meeting February 20, 2024 be adjourned at 6:10.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you. So that's it for the planning part of the meeting tonight. We'll move down to corporate services. Sean, town truck and plow equipment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So council has before them a report to authorize a debenture bylaw for the 2024 tandem plow and tandem truck and plow equipment. So earlier, or late, I guess, in 2023, council did authorize long-term financing of this piece of equipment. So anytime that we're going to finance something through debt, there's two bylaws that need to be passed. First, council to authorize us to finance that project, and then when the equipment is received, and there's a few other formalities, the treasurer will lock in an interest rate with Infrastructure Ontario and then bring back a report to council to kind of finalize it. So that's what we have in front of us tonight. With this debenture finalized, we will have about $4.8 million of debt principal outstanding. The interest rate that is locked in is 4.54%. So to put it in perspective, to borrow from ourselves, from what we earn, we currently earn 5.2, so we'd be paying more to borrow from ourselves and locking in with Infrastructure Ontario. So I think the interest rate, at least in that perspective, is advantageous. The yearly payment will be $72,900. One of those payments was budgeted for in 2024, so we budgeted for roughly $36,000 in 2024. So understanding that with this locked in, we'd have a second payment that we need to budget for in 2025. The attachment that I have is a estimated annual repayment limit. So if you could scroll to the next page, please. So this is for council's information. Anytime that we or that you authorize debt, we should be providing you with an updated annual repayment limit. So this is based off of the 2022 financial information return. which is the most current information we have at this time because 2023 isn't closed yet. So basically what I'm saying here is when we work our way down that my estimated annual repayment limit is 1.7 million. So to put that in perspective, the township could borrow about $37 million or $38 million of principal at the quoted interest rate and still be within the annual repayment limit. So with that, I'll turn it back if there's any questions.
No, I don't think there is any. Sean? Keith, go ahead.
Just on your last comment, what is the limit that we could borrow? Like, how do we stand with that 4.8 that we're going to be at now?
So the annual repayment limit is set by the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, which is, it's not necessarily the principal that you have outstanding, it's how much each year you have to pay back, both in principal and interest. So that 1.7 million is my estimation on how much more we could pay back in a year before the ministry stepped in and said you're borrowing too much. So when you factor in the payment, you basically reverse engineer it, and it would turn out to be about 37.8 million. We could borrow $37.8 million on a 5-year term to finance a project, let's say, at that interest rate quoted by Infrastructure Ontario and still fall within our 1.7 million that we pay back each year.
Okay, thank you. I understand now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have a motion, Jamie? Any, Alan and Jennifer?
Moved by Councillor Wren, second by Councillor Gauthier, that the Council of the Township of Laurentian Valley authorize a debenture payment bylaw for the 2024 Freightliner tandem truck and plow equipment.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, so we're going to move into the Kinsman Pool. Want to start?
Yeah, I can certainly start. So as council is aware, the city is in negotiations estimating a rehabilitation to their existing pool. We did receive a letter based on a meeting that they had at the, I think it was the hotel, I forgot the name, what am I looking for? Anyway, whatever, the hotel downtown, sorry. Clarion, thank you. It's changed so many times. I'm back to the Heritage Inn, but showing my age. Anyway, at that meeting, I guess it was decided that they would send us a request for 34% of the total cost of the repairs. And so we did do some work. We did also, for council's benefit, we did meet with staff. The treasurer and myself did meet with their treasurer, the CAO, and the director of recreation. We had a good, fruitful discussion. What we're suggesting, we're recommending is that council, based on our existing agreement we have, which is expired unfortunately, but we do pay 30% of the costs of operations, not necessarily capital costs, but 30% of the operating costs. So we're suggesting that we would consider 30% of the repairs based on the 1.4 million that they're projecting, within a maximum amount contribution of 420,000, less of any net grants, donations, or any other funds that come forward with it. So that would be our request. There is lots of data in the report. The treasurer can go through some of the financials if you so choose. He is showing what the cost of 25% would be and what the cost of 34% would be and 30%. And there again, there's some detailed financials in there for anybody who's wanting to question those. And then there's also a summary of the pool use report, which states what the usage now for usage purposes, which staff is feeling that we really probably don't need to get involved in usage because it hasn't been tracked. The portion that's been tracked over time is the actual lessons and where the people come from lessons. The public swims and the school swims and all that do not suggest where the people do come from. Although the numbers there, just want to be sure we're clear that the numbers are basically, I don't know if they're on there, but the numbers that we received are toes in the pool. It could be the same person a bunch of times, but that's the number of swims that are coming. So if you take, for instance, that year, a given year, which is 21, is 26,300 people swam in the pool in 2021. So it could be the same person 10 times or one time, but that's the stats. So I'm gonna leave it at that for now. Sean, I don't know if you wanna comment on the financials or let council question, it's up to
Since we're on the usage, and I know we have an agreement of 30%, whatever, and I'll let maybe Sean explain a little more as to each foot in the pool counts as one dip, and that person can do it many times. Unfortunately, only the swimming lessons, which is what they're basing their 34% on, correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, but we have no idea how many people have used that pool, other than whoever registered for lessons, or not even, is membership listed in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so from what they've provided and from what we've gathered from the meeting with them is, and I mean, it kind of does make sense in a sense. They don't, so if you went, each week, you'd be counted here as 52 times, not necessarily one person. So it's not so much the amount of people that it comes out on these numbers, it's the amount of, as Dean said, like swims. That's what from their manager of recreation of how they've collected the data. So they do have like the public swims. I'm just looking at 2019 numbers here. So they have the public swims at 14,185, the membership usage total. So that's not members, that's membership usage totals of 6,346. I'm not saying that they don't have that, but that's not something that they provide us, and that's something that they've alluded to that they don't really have readily available at this time. So,
Okay, Alan, you had a question?
Just a comment on the 30 to 34%, so that everybody's aware of where those percentages in our contract with the city of Pembroke came from. Was that our usage for the rinks and the pool was over 30%, and it was agreed with the city of Pembroke that we wouldn't charge any residents from the city of Pembroke any access fee or non-member access fee to any of our facilities, and therefore that's why it was reduced to a 30% contribution from Laurentian Valley. So we don't charge a city resident to use our skating trail, to use Allison Fraser, to use Shady Nook, to use Stafford Park. That's all included in the agreement, and that's why it's been reduced back down to 30% contribution from Laurentian Valley. So just wanted to clarify that's where that number came from.
Sean, do you want to go over? Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I think we'll just walk through the financial implications just so everyone here is on the same page. So my first paragraph, I'm really just reiterating how, as we are through our 2024 budget process, and what that looks like. So from a very high level, we have budgeted to have a net reduction in our reserves and reserve funds of about $585,000. The estimated 2024 beginning balance, so we're still closing the books on 2023, but the estimated beginning balance of the recreation reserve is about $7,000. The estimated 2023 general surplus is about $5,000. So those are unaudited, and they may fluctuate, but I wouldn't say very big at all. So the whole point of that is to say, because a lot of times, well, where do we end up in a surplus? Can we allocate a surplus to, into reserve or not? Those are the best information we have at this time. So all things to say is there's not a ton of money there. Then the next piece down, we go through the three different options. So 25% is what the city of Pembroke basically said they have to find for them to continue on the project. So if that came from Laurentian Valley, of that 1.4 million, it'd be $350,000. The city has said we can fund our portion over the course of 5 years, so it'd be $70,000 a year. 30% is in keeping with our current recreation agreement, so that'd be $420,000, and $84,000 per year. And then 34%, I believe it was in the letter, and that is again based off of the program, the average. I guess you took all those years, the program users, not the total swims, but the program users. That's what they've come to Laurentian Valley and said they're requesting. That's $476,000 or $95,000 per year. Now that we got on the table three different options, I'll remind council, because it is my job to do so, that you have authorized bylaws for the long-term financing of the Freightliner tandem plow truck. And we do have Roy Street West that council has approved. It is going to be completed in 2024, and that will also be debt financed. So with that to say, my estimation is that starting next year, 2025, there'll be, just off the top on those two repayments for debt, there'll be about 2% increase of about $136,000. We have budgeted in 2024 $350,000 to the city of Pembroke as per the recreation agreement. That is the best estimate really at this time. I mean, the way that agreement works, you're kind of a year behind, and when we budget, and actually when they budget, those numbers aren't really finalized. So it's the best guess at this point in time. We did pass a budget in January 2024, which had a tax levy increase of 7.89%, which equated to about $82 increase per the median assessed home. If we did the $84,000 increase, which is the 30%, there would be a tax. If we opened the budget up and said, we have to find, because we need to find those funds in this current year, because we're going to contribute those, it would be a 9.2% increase, which equates to about $100 increase per the median assessed home. Again, it's very difficult because we don't know the tender, B, we don't know if there's going to be grants, and C, we don't know how much is going to be raised through fundraising, because we have discussed with the city that our contribution, our 30% that we're recommending, would be based on the net of those contributions. So I threw in here that council may wish at this point in time to mimic the practice in regard to the capital reinvestment reserve, is where when we increase 1% of the previous year's levy, that would go directly into the capital reinvestment reserve. Council may wish to do that and increase 1% and put that into a recreation reserve, or put it into the recreation reserve, knowing that we would be committing to funds to the city of Pembroke. And if we did that, the increase per median house would be $93. So with that, I'll leave it to the table for questions and discussion.
Keith?
So of the $350,000 that is forwarded to the city for 2024, the amount that would be normally assigned to the pool, would that come off of the 1.4?
No,
Total.
I believe we would discuss this would be, like, that agreement would stay. So we'd still have the 30% of the operating costs up to an upset limit of, and for capital up to an upset limit of $59,100. This would be over and above, separate from the current recreation agreement.
No, I recognize that, but of the money that they're getting this year, that would normally be assigned to one of 4 structures that we have a joint agreement with, the amount that they'd normally put with the pool, that should actually maybe be appropriated to the renovations.
I think what Reeve Watt is suggesting, so we're always a year behind. So right now, we'll be paying this year in 24, we're going to pay on 23 expenses, or 2023 expenses. So we'll be paying that basically. So reconcile. We will see a little bit of savings there because the pool was closed for a month and a half because of the pump. But next year is when we'll see a significant, well, we don't know if it'll be significant, depending on how much they spend on the 2 other arenas, of course. But the thought process is, whenever that's reconciled, that money would be put into that reserve if there's a savings there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think in 2022, if I remember wrong, Sean, I think might be $100,000 of our $350 we give the city for recreation was the pool expenses that we paid for it. I think Sean has the numbers there. So we'll probably see a half a year closure of the pool, plus a little bit of last year. So that 100 might be 50 or 60 or 65 or whatever. So as Dean said, whatever difference it is, that'll just go into our rec reserves. So there will be a savings pullback there. Al?
So I think we have to look that we've heard from our residents loud and clear that they want Laurentian Valley to be part of this repair of the pool. So it would be my suggestion that we do the 30% and do, as Sean explained, open up the budget and add 1% and allocate that money into a reserve for future recreation purposes. and mirror it to our infrastructure money that we put away. Set that up exactly the same way, and then we can draw out of that to make any payments that need to be paid. Sean said that if it does move ahead, it would be a loan that we would have 5 years to pay on, so we'll be able to draw out of that account to pay our portion of that loan. And I'd be willing to make that motion.
And further to that, Sean, if for example, the fundraising group that we had a presentation tonight collected $500,000 and they get a trillion grant, then obviously we'll revisit this next year and to look at what we're gonna do with those funds, because there wouldn't be as much required at that time. Not to say that a recreational agreement is coming up shortly, and I know that there's gonna be other improvements that the city's gonna require that we use, so.
Yeah, that's correct. And speaking with the city's treasurer is, like, they're going to reconcile and forward us probably through a year-end exercise, if I had to guess. I mean, if it completed, you know, middle of the summer, maybe we would get it by the fall. But my anticipation is we would receive a reconciliation from them with the proper documentation on where the funds were spent, the funds that were raised, and there'll be an invoice attached to it. So it'd be, here's what we spent up to the upset limit and reconciled down, and here's your cost. So we would set up, would be my recommendation, we would set up our first payment in this current fiscal year, because that's what it pertains to, and then move forward. But we would be getting that documentation from them, so we would know exactly what we'd be paying for subsequent years.
So if it is council's wishes that we move forward on staff recommendation, we would send a letter, I assume, to the city explaining how we want to proceed with our 30%. And then it'll be a wait and see as to when the tender comes in, what the cost that is, because we're basing it at maximum of 1.4, correct? And whether the fundraising, whether it's a trillium grant, whatever. So our first payment wouldn't be probably till June or July anyways.
Yeah, I'd say at earliest. I would say our first
Yes.
payment, I could see our first payment actually not being until 2025 calendar year, set up though to be expensed in 2024. But I could see actually funds from bank to bank would be, I mean, at best would be the timeline you're suggesting, but I would think more realistically it might be year end or into 2025 where funds actually transfer.
Okay. Anything else, council? Any comments? Questions? Wendy?
Alan has made the motion, so I would second that motion.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
No, I'm gonna read it.
Oh, sorry.
I'll read it, just to make sure it's,
It's
just
probably
to
a
make
long
sure
one.
everybody's clear. Moved by Councillor Wren, second by Councillor Hewitt, that the Council to Township of Laurentian Valley agree to contribute 30% of the net cost of repairs to the pool enclosure and repairs to the administration building, estimated cost of $1.4 million to a maximum of $420,000. Net cost shall be determined by excluding all grants, municipal contributions, and donations. That this contribution be recommended without prejudice and precedent. That the Township of Laurentian Valley repeal bylaw 2024-01004, 2024 budgets, and replace it with a new bylaw with appropriate changes in place to address our contribution to the rehabilitation of the Pembroke Kinsman Pool, as per the suggested identified in this report. And that the bylaw be forwarded to the next council meeting for enactment.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried. So that's the end of our pool discussion, so you're more than welcome to go.
Thank you. Thank you. Something we said, yeah.
Thank you so much. See you at pool.
Yes, see you at the pool.
Okay, so information items, St. Joseph's Food Bank and the Warming Center. Comment on those, Dean, or?
No, I don't think there's anything to comment on the warming center. It's still functioning. We did, I think the stats are in the package, if I remember correctly. So if there's any questions, I mean, we did have another meeting. It seems to be functioning well and providing a service, so it's, yeah, full steam ahead, and we'll have a meeting coming up next Monday, or forget the next meeting, but somewhere there. So, no, unless there's any specifics on the statistics, it's good.
Alrighty, Public Works, Brad, drinking water.
Thank you,
please.
Worship and Council. Yeah, before you, two reports I'm going to go through tonight regarding the water. First one is the fourth quarterly report. I won't go through the background. I'll just get on to the highlights of the report. So testing, when we do our water samples, we send them down to Ottawa to Caducean Laboratories. Caducean is an accredited laboratory. Results of the analysis are emailed to the municipality, namely myself. The following chart or summary of these test results for the fourth quarter. You can see through the chart there. We did 29 samples of E. coli, which none came back positive, which is a good sign. Total chloroforms, we did have one adverse come back. Sorry, that was in the previous quarterly. So no coliforms came back. Our HPC count, there was no test done on the HPC count due to a logistical error, and I'll get into that a little later on, and I'll explain a little bit more about that test. Residual chlorines, they passed. There was no adverse there. And then the other two THMs and HAAs, they are all within the limits from the province. So in the fourth quarter, the municipality paid $1,475.14 for lab services. There was, for complaints, there was one complaint of an odor in the water on Joe Street. So we did some chlorine residuals, and it was determined that it was the hot water tank causing the issues. Just on staffing and training, right now we have one water quality analyst and 3 operators certified for water distribution 1. And we also have an operator in training that was not put on there. Maintenance, there were 55 locate requests completed in the fourth quarter, of which 22 identified water lines to be marked. The water service operators conducted 2 service events in the fourth quarter. Hydrant flushing and valve turning was conducted in October, which we have to do biannually. On October 31st, 2023, there was an emergency valve and hydrant replacement on Hamilton Street that was leaking. That was an in-depth one. It was right by a hydro pole, and we had to get, we tried to get hydro to come in and help us out to secure the pole, but we had no luck in getting a hold of them, so we used some equipment to secure it ourselves. So kudos to the guys that, come up with a different plan of attack. On December 2nd, 2023, there was a main water pipe break on Willow Drive. So we were out doing snow plowing, and one of our drivers came around the corner and there was water running down the street. So it was a 12 to 13 hour day there. So it was not fun at all. The operational plan was updated to reflect new changes, and it was sent to council last month to be endorsed. In the fourth quarter, the Waterworks purchased 11,519,530 gallons of water from the city of Pembroke, distributed to home and businesses. There was no adverse water quality events in the fourth quarter. It should be noted that there were no HPC tests completed since August 14th due to a logistical error. So what HPC is test, it's used as a tool to monitor overall water quality, but the results are not indicators of water safety. So if you see those numbers start to go up, then one should look at that and say, we got to start doing some more E. coli testing and more bacterial testing. The E. coli testing was continued on. We never missed an E. coli sample, so there was never an issue with human safety. HPCs don't affect humans, so and again, it was just due to logistical error. Once it was noticed, we contacted the ministry inspector. They were notified. They were they just told us, no problem, there's nothing much we can do about it now, just make sure you continue. Since then, we've done up some corrective actions to make sure that this doesn't happen in the future. Well, that's that. And that's it for the fourth quarterly report. Any questions, concerns, comments?
No?
All right, so we'll move on to the annual report. So Laurentian Valley Waterworks is owned by the corporation Township of Laurentian Valley. The operating authority, Laurentian Valley Waterworks, is operated by the corporation of the Township of Laurentian Valley. The weekly water samples, again, are sent down to Caducean in Ottawa, who is the accredited laboratory for doing the testing. So this is the annual analysis from January 1st to December 31st. E. coli, there was 114 samples completed, which there was 0 adverse results, so that was good. Total coliforms, there was one adverse report, water sample, and that was due to the sample was taken at Home Depot in the janitor's closets. So there's lots of chemicals in that closet. The taps are dirty, and unfortunately, that's where the sample was taken, and it came back with coliforms. We obviously contacted the ministry, went through the normal steps, and when we did the test over again, it came back clean. So, but we did it at the kitchen that time instead of the janitor's closet. So, a mistake on our behalf. HPCs, they were less than 2 to 34. The limit is 500, so we're well below the limit. Residual chlorine, we did 461 samples, and it ranged from anywhere from 0.05 to 1.32 milligrams per liters, so we're well within the limits. THAs, we did 4 of those, and under the limit. HAAs were 4 as well, again under the limits. Alkalinity 4, and we're within the limits there as well. Lead, we conducted 2 samples, and within the limits as well again. And then pH we did 4, and it's sitting right where you want it to be. In 2023, municipality paid Caducean $5,366.22 for lab services. There were 2 water quality complaints in 2023. The first complaint was a strong chlorine smell in the water first thing in the morning. Obviously, this could be due to numerous residents utilizing water at the same time, which would pull new treated water into the piping, causing more chlorine smell than usual. The second complaint was an odor in the water, which that was the hot water tank issue. We've went over to staffing in the fourth quarterly report. There was no construction taken on any water service in 2023. Maintenance, hydrants and valves were exercised in the second and fourth quarters as per the operational plan. There were 11 customer service events in 2023. April 28, 2023, repaired 2 water saddles on Hamilton Street. So we had a sewer line broken at the house, and when we went in, water was trickling out from the side, so we started excavating a little bit more over, and the first water saddle was leaking, so we changed that, and as we were changing that, more water was coming further down, so we kept excavating, and we found a second water saddle. September 14, 2023, new service installation to 1036 Pembroke Street East. That's new Popeyes restaurant. So water was installed there. Again, on October 31st, 2023, the emergency valve and hydrant replacement was changed. December 2nd, the Willow Drive water main repair. In 2023, the Works Department completed 230 locate requests, of which 99 identified water lines to be marked. The MECP inspector conducted our annual inspection in January of 2024. I have there that we are awaiting results, but at 20 to 5 tonight, I got the results, and we can still keep the water on, so that's a good thing. And I'll break that down in another meeting for you, for council. The external audit was conducted on March 30th, 2023. There was no corrective actions found. The internal audit was completed by Kendrick in December of 2023, and items that were found in the audit were rectified. As for the asset management and financial plan, the financial plan and asset management plan were submitted to the ministry with a license renewal application. They are both current, although they will require updating to reflect the new contract with the city. Accreditation and licensing, the waterworks continues to be accredited with NSF. The current accreditation expires in June of 2024. We do have our annual audit coming up in April. So in summary, in 2023, there was one adverse sample due to where the sample was taken, but when resampled, the test passed. The waterworks purchased 44,751,013 gallons of water from the city of Pembroke. This was a 10% decrease in volume from the last 10-year average. And then you have your chart showing all the what we purchased from Pembroke and the variance.
Brad, any guess on why the 10% increase?
I mean, it could be we've been repairing a lot of stuff lately, so I mean, it could be that. It could be, my other assumption is that now we're you know, when you're buying a faucet, it's a low usage. So, you know, your toilets are starting to be low usage now. So, you know, that could have and with the COVID and all that stuff, people did a lot of renovations, right, during that time. So they're probably putting in low consumption faucets and such.
Also, too, we did change the bylaw this year with regards to watering, like land, you know, lawn watering and stuff, so that might have something to do with it as well.
Okay. Any questions, comments from council? Very thorough, very interesting. Thanks, Brad.
We do need a motion for the annual report.
Okay, Keith and Wendy?
Moved by Reeve Watt, second by Councillor Hewitt, that the Council of Township of Laurentian Valley approve drinking water annual report 2023 as presented.
All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Brad. Sean back up?
No, just bylaws.
Bylaws, no? Okay.
Motion, please.
Alan and Betty.
Moved by Councillor Wren, second by Councillor King, that the following bylaws be enacted and passed and be read a first, second, and third time and be numbered and signed by the mayor and the clerk and sealed with the seal of corporation and be engrossed in this bylaw book this 20th day of February 2024. Bylaw 2024-02009 to establish the sale and disposition of surplus land policy. Bylaw 2024-02010 to authorize the borrowing upon amortizing debenture in the principal amount of $322,838.54 for the 2024 Freightliner plow truck. And bylaw 2024-02011 consolidated tariff of fees bylaw.
All in favor? Carried. Council comments. Wendy?
I'm just going to speak about the Friends of the Disabled Board. As you know, we weren't able to have the annual fundraiser that we normally do due to the weather, the polar bear dip. We are meeting this Thursday to discuss, we have 2 or 3 different ideas that we're coming forth to do some fundraising, so I will bring that information back next meeting.
Better jump ahead of the pool.
Jennifer was supposed to go. That's probably why it didn't happen.
Anything else? Okay, motion going to close. Alan and Wendy.
Moved by Councillor Wren, second by Councillor Hewitt. No, sorry, by Councillor King, sorry. Did you say Wendy or did you say? Wendy. No, sorry,
I
I
said
was
Brian.
right. Okay. That's probably what screwed me up, sorry. Moved by, no, now I'm, oh my God. Okay, I'm gonna try that one more time, from the top. Moved by Councillor Wren, second by Councillor Hewitt, that the regular council meeting of February 20th, 2024 move into closed session at 6:45 p.m., chaired by Mayor Bennett according to Ontario Municipal Act 2001, Section 239-2, Section 239-3, and Section 239-3.1, in order to address a matter pertaining to litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local boards.
All in favor? Carried.
Okay, take two.
Okay, welcome back to our council meeting of February 20th. Dean,
Motion to move back in the open session.
Wendy, and Betty.
Moved by Counselor Hewitt, second by Counselor King, that the regular council meeting of February 20th, 2024 be moved back into open session at 7:35.
All in favor? Carried.
Note and file.
Alan and Jennifer?
Moved by Counselor Wren, second by Counselor Gauthier, that the items not specifically addressed by motion of the regular council meeting of February 2024 be noted and filed accordingly.
All in favor? Carried.
Confirmatory bylaw.
Keith, Wendy?
Moved by Reeve Watt, second by Counselor Hewitt, that be resolved that the Council of Township of Laurentian Valley approves confirmatory bylaw 2024-02-012 as having been introduced, read a first, second, and third time, and the said bylaw be numbered and signed by the mayor and the clerk and sealed with seal of corporation this 20th day of February 2024.
All in favor? Carried.
And adjournment.
Adjournment. Jennifer and Alan.
Moved by Counselor Gauthier, second by Counselor Wren, that the regular council meeting of February 20th, 2024 be adjourned at 7:35.
All in favor?